Well, you've seen the word Stop Asian Hate over the news lately, a movement to stand towards Asian American Pacific Islander communities. And thanks to you, I've heard a lot of your stories, and they're all important and valid. Well, tonight I spoke with one man who is not Asian, but for him, after everything he's gone through, there was an awakening for him. Here's his family story. Brock Woodson loves making knives.
The part now is all the belts that go with it.
It's his passion.
I didn't plan on starting this business. This is kind of a product of COVID and boredom.
But soon enough, his side hobby began gaining popularity.
Working hard to build this business. I've got customers all over the U.S. and into Canada.
And perhaps the reason for Brock's success is his attention to detail, skill, and focus. Some things he's learned along the way.
The enemy's over here, and this is where the tracer rounds are heading.
Brock is a Marine Corps vet.
I served from 03 to 07. I was in the infantry. I was also attached to a Marine Corps Special Operations Group and went to Iraq in 06, 07. I did a short stint for 3.5 years in the Army Reserves as a medic.
Brock says he never imagined life after the military would be a different kind of awakening.
People that have never had to deal with racism, they don't see it. And I know myself, I was in the Marine Corps, and you don't see racism in the Marine Corps. You're not supposed to. Everybody's green. And so I kind of was blind to it. And, certain things throughout my life, certain people that have been part of my life have pointed out to me, hey, this happens.
Fast forward to 2018. Brock met Katie, a Korean-American woman, and he says it was love at first sight.
Met online, and we had a very upfront first date. I mean, everything from politics, religion, my thing at the time as well as hers. Never getting married again, no more kids. A year later, you know what, let's have a kid and get married.
The relationship the two had continued on, both loving each other for similar reasons.
He's very driven, very focused.
She's one of the smartest women I've ever met.
And what felt like a fairy tale between the two quickly turned into a reality check. He says subtle things like stares and people's body language change when the two would be out and about.
It stands out to me. I don't think my wife always notices, and I don't want to point it out to her because I think it would make her feel even more uncomfortable.
And then he says inappropriate comments from his group of friends began to increase.
I had a friend that I spent some time around who made a comment after a few beers, but to the effect that stepping out of my heritage.
Then comments from his customers on social media that were racist towards his wife.
It was the meaning behind it, and essentially saying mail order bride, and it just wasn't okay.
Katie was born in Seoul, South Korea. She was adopted when she was just a couple months old. Growing up in Spokane, she says there have been times where she's been called names, horrible names, but for the most part has been able to move forward, push it aside. Now, she says it's different being a new mom.
I wasn't worried before raising a half Asian child. I hadn't really been too worried about it until just the last year or so. Things have been a little bit different.
Stop trying to climb.
She says being an Asian American has forced her to be on guard, especially with her son.
I think that racial tensions have been significantly higher in the country, and I think that they should be. I think there's a lot of issues coming up now that should have been brought up a long time ago. But with that, it also surfaces people with really strong opposing opinions, and that's what frightens me.
Racism towards Asian Americans is not something that's new. In fact, it's not really talked about, kind of swept under the rug. As for Brock Woodson, he says there's no amount of money or people that he will tolerate any kind of racism towards his wife and his family.
I guess love transcends race or nationality. I would always encourage anyone to fall in love with people. It doesn't matter what color skin they are or all that matters is how much you love each other.
So while the history of Asian hate crimes spans hundreds of years, what we can do now is to what Brock and Katie say. Show support, show love, fall in love with people despite their race, and watch out for each other. And all together, we can stop Asian hate.